The silent battlefield was quiet. Too quiet. The smoke of burned ships still floated in the sky, making the air heavy and hard to breathe. Broken machines lay everywhere, twisted metal shining in the faint light of a dying sun. The ground was black with ash, and the smell of fire and blood mixed in the wind. Captain Ryan Carter moved slowly through the wreckage, his boots sinking into the soft, ruined earth. His armor was scratched and burned, his rifle hanging low in his hands. Every step he took echoed in the silence, as if the world itself was holding its breath. Ryan's heart pounded in his chest, but not because of fear. It was because he could not find Cale, his battle partner, his brother in war. "Cale," he called softly, his voice breaking in the smoke. "Where are you, buddy?" Ryan's eyes scanned the shadows, searching for the tall figure of the alien warrior. Cale had always been the one to lead the charge, his blue skin glowing under the stars, his twin blades shining like lightning. They had fought together through countless battles, saving each other again and again. Ryan remembered Cale's deep laugh, the way he called him blood brother. Even though they were from two different worlds, now Ryan could only hear the sound of broken flames and the distant groan of metal. He stumbled on a fallen piece of armor and froze. It was Cale's blade, cracked down the center, its glowing edge fading. Ryan's throat tightened. His hands shook as he picked it up. If the blade was here, where was Cale? He followed the trail of glowing blue blood, shining like starlight against the dark ground. The trail led him deeper into the ruins, past walls carved with strange alien signs. Its step felt heavier, as if the planet itself wanted to hold him back. Ryan's mind filled with memories of their last moments. The enemy had come in endless waves, armored beasts with burning red eyes. Cale had fought like a storm, covering Ryan, shouting in his strange language. Then the ground had exploded. Fire and dust had swallowed them, and everything had gone black. Now Ryan was alone, with only the echo of his partner's voice in his head. He gritted his teeth and kept moving, even though every shadow looked like a monster. Suddenly, his comms crackled to life, a faint voice cutting through the static. "Help, please," it whispered, broken and weak. Ryan's heart jumped. It sounded like Cale, but softer, higher. "Cale, is that you?" he whispered, pressing the comm to his ear. No answer, only static. The trail of glowing blood shone brighter as he moved forward, leading him into a half-destroyed hall. The roof was broken, moonlight falling through the cracks like silver rain. In the corner of the hall, a shadow moved, tall and slim, watching him with glowing eyes. Ryan raised his rifle, finger tight on the trigger. "Stop right there," he shouted, his voice echoing against the stone walls. The figure stepped into the light, and Ryan froze. She was tall, taller than him, with the same glowing blue skin as Cale, but her face was softer, her eyes brighter, her hair flowed like silver water, and for a moment Ryan thought he was seeing Cale's ghost. "You," Ryan said, his voice low and sharp. "Who are you?" The alien woman looked at him with calm eyes, her voice soft but filled with strength. "My name is Lyra," she said. "I am Cale's sister." Ryan's mind spun. Cale had never spoken of a sister. Never once. "Where is he?" Ryan demanded, gripping the broken blade tighter in his hand. Lyra's eyes lowered, sadness filling them like a storm. She stepped closer, holding something in her hand. It was a small metal emblem, Cale's battle insignia, cracked and covered in blue blood. "He saved me," she whispered, her voice shaking. "He gave his life so I could escape." Ryan felt as if the ground had fallen away beneath him. "No," he said, his voice breaking. "He can't be gone. He promised me." Lyra's hand trembled as she placed the blood-stained insignia in Ryan's palm. Her eyes shone with tears, glowing in the dim light. "I felt his last heartbeat," she said, "but he told me to find you, to trust you, to fight with you." Ryan stared at her, torn between grief and suspicion. His heart wanted to believe her, wanted to see Cale's spirit living in her eyes. But his soldier's mind whispered caution. The enemy was known for lies, for traps, for using illusions to break their foes. How do I know you're not one of them? Ryan asked sharply. Lyra looked straight into his eyes, and for a moment he saw Kel there. The same fire, the same loyalty. Because I would die before I betrayed my brother's bond, she said. Her voice steady now, she touched the cracked blade in his hand and whispered in her language, the same word Kel had once spoken to Ryan. It meant brother. Ryan's chest tightened. His finger loosened on the trigger. The silence of the battlefield returned, heavy and endless, as the two stood facing each other. Then, from deep in the ruins, came a sound that froze them both. A howl, sharp and metallic, echoing through the night like the cry of a beast. Lyra's face hardened, her hand reaching for her weapon. They are coming, she said, her voice full of dread. Ryan turned toward the sound, his heart racing, gripping Kel's broken blade tight in one hand and his rifle in the other. The silence was broken now, and the hunt had begun. The war was not over, and Ryan was no longer alone. The stranger's eyes. Ryan kept his rifle raised, his breathing harsh in the broken hall. The tall figure stood in the moonlight, her blue skin glowing softly like polished stone. For a heartbeat he almost called out Kel's name, but then he saw her face. Her features were different, sharper in some ways, softer in others. She looked younger, and her long silver hair fell down her shoulders like a river. Her eyes were what caught him the most. They were bright blue, shining like frozen fire, and they held a strange mix of sorrow and strength. Ryan's hands tightened on his weapon, unsure if this was real or another trick of the enemy. His voice came out rough and broken. Who are you? The woman raised her empty hands, showing she carried no weapon in them. My name is Lyra, she said slowly, as if tasting the words in his language. Her voice was softer than Kel's, but there was something in the tone, a rhythm that reminded him of his friend. I am Kel's sister, she added, and the word struck Ryan like a blade. For a long moment he could not speak. His mind refused to believe it. Kel had never once mentioned a sister, not in all the nights they had shared stories under alien stars. Ryan's throat tightened. He pointed at the cracked blade in his hand. Then tell me, why is this here? Where is he? He demanded, his voice shaking with anger and fear. Lyra's eyes softened even more, and she slowly opened her hand. There was Kel's battle insignia, bent and covered in blue blood. Ryan felt his chest crush inwards as he recognized it. He saved me, Lyra whispered, her words trembling. He fought until the end. And when the enemy came for me, he gave his life so I could escape. Ryan felt the weight of the blade in his hand, heavier now, as if it carried Kel's last breath. He wanted to scream, to deny it, to say it was a lie. But he could not ignore the blood on the metal. He had seen that glow too many times before. No, Ryan whispered. He promised me. He said we would fight until the war was over. He said we would both see Earth again. Lyra took a slow step closer, her eyes never leaving his. I felt his last heartbeat, she said, her voice breaking. He told me to find you, to trust you. He called you his brother. Ryan froze, his rifle still aimed at her chest, but his grip began to weaken. The word brother echoed in his ears, the same word Kel had whispered to him when they had survived their first battle together. He remembered Kel's huge hand gripping his shoulder, his voice saying, brother, after dragging him out of a burning trench. The memories cut deeper than any blade. Ryan blinked back, the sting in his eyes, trying to clear the smoke, trying to clear the truth he did not want to face. But then doubt returned like a shadow. The enemy was known for tricks, illusions, and lies. They could take the form of friends, speak in familiar voices, twist the heart until you no longer knew what was real. How do I know you are not one of them? Ryan growled. His rifle still steady though his hands trembled. Lyra did not move. She only looked at him with calm sadness. Because I carry his blood, she whispered, holding up her hand, blue light shining faintly from a fresh scar across her palm. And because I would rather die than betray the bond he gave me. She reached forward, slowly, until her fingers touched the cracked blade in Ryan's hand. She whispered something in her own language, her lips forming the same word Kale had once taught him. It was the word for brother. The word Kale had used when he swore to fight until the end. Ryan's breath caught. He felt the truth in her voice. It was not the cold mimic of an enemy trick. It was real. For the first time since the battle, he lowered his rifle. The silence of the ruined hall pressed round them, broken only by the faint crackle of flames. But before Ryan could speak, the ground shook under their boots. A low rumble echoed through the stones, and then came the sound again. The metallic howl that had frozen his blood. Lyra's head snapped toward the shadows, her eyes wide. "They are hunting," she whispered, her hand now gripping the hilt of a blade at her side. Ryan raised his rifle again. His grief buried under the old fire of survival. Shapes moved in the smoke, glowing red, eyes blinking in the dark. Ryan felt his heart pounding like war drums, sweat running down his temple. Lyra stepped beside him, close enough that he could feel the strange heat from her skin. She held her blade with steady hands, the glow of its edge painting the walls. In blue light, Ryan glanced at her, and for a heartbeat he thought he saw Kale standing beside him again. But then one of the creatures stepped into the moonlight, its metal claws dripping with blue blood. Ryan's grief turned into fury. His finger pressed the trigger. The rifle roared. The enemy screamed, sparks flying as bullets tore into its armor. Lyra leaped forward, her blade cutting through the air like lightning, striking true. The beast fell, its body crashing to the floor, but more shadows were moving behind it. Ryan realized the truth in that moment. Kale was gone. But he had not left Ryan alone. His sister was here, and she carried the same fire in her heart. The war was far from over, and Ryan would need her. The silent battlefield was no longer silent. It was alive again with the sound of war. And in the middle of it all stood Ryan and Lyra, two warriors from different worlds, about to face the storm together. Secrets of the Philanthropy ruins stretched before them like the bones of a dead world. Broken towers leaned against the red sky, and the ground was cracked with glowing veins of blue light. Ryan and Lyra moved carefully, the silence around them, broken only by the crunch of ash under their boots. Ryan still held Kel's broken blade, its glow fading more with every step. The weight of it reminded him of the friend he had lost, and the promise that now rested on his shoulders. Lyra walked slightly ahead, her eyes scanning the ruins with sharp focus. She carried herself with the same warrior grace as Kale, and every movement reminded Ryan of the alien who had once saved his life. But in her, there was something different, something more gentle, as if her strength came not only from training, but from compassion. Ryan wanted to ask her questions, wanted to know the truth, but every time he opened his mouth, the words froze. Finally, he found the courage, his voice low and tense. "You said Cal was part of something, some kind of order. What did you mean?" Lyra stopped walking and turned to face him, the moonlight catching her eyes like shards of ice. "He was not only a soldier," she said slowly. "He was part of the Valen Guard, an ancient brotherhood of warriors, sworn to protect the bond between our kind and yours." Ryan frowned, his mind racing. He had fought beside Kale for years and never once heard of this. "You mean to tell me there's a secret order of alien warriors who protect humans?" he asked, disbelief clear in his tone. Lyra nodded, her voice calm but heavy with sorrow. "It is more than that, Captain. Long ago, before your people reached the stars, our ancestors made a promise. They swore to defend Earth. Because Earth once defended us." Ryan felt a chill run down his spine. "Defended you? When? How?" he asked quickly. Lyra looked at him for a long moment, then turned back toward the ruins, her fingers brushing the glowing walls. "There was a time when a darkness swept across our galaxy, an ancient enemy, older than both our races. It devoured worlds, it consumed stars," she explained. "My people fought, but we were losing. Then humans appeared. Your ancestors were young, fragile, but brave. They fought beside us, and together we drove the darkness back. Her voice trembled, not with fear, but with deep respect. From that day, the Valen Guard was born, warriors who vowed to protect humanity. No matter the cost, Ryan felt his chest tighten again. He thought of Kale, of every battle they had fought. His friend had never spoken of this history, never told him why he always threw himself into the fire first. Now Ryan understood. Kale had not been fighting only for glory or duty. He had been honoring an ancient promise. And the key? Ryan asked. What is it? Lyra stopped at a broken archway, her face pale in the moonlight. The key, she whispered, is not a weapon. Not in the way you think. It is something much greater. It is a beacon, a map, and a shield. Ryan raised an eyebrow, his voice sharp. That explains nothing. Lyra turned to him, her blue eyes burning. It is called the Heart of Unity. It was built by our ancestors and yours. It can awaken the defense network hidden on 1,000 worlds, a power that can stop the enemy forever. Ryan felt a cold rush of fear and at the same time, a weapon that could save Earth or destroy it. No wonder the enemy wanted it. Lyra stepped through the archway, leading him into a vast chamber. The walls were covered in carvings of humans and aliens fighting side by side, their hands raised together against the same monstrous shapes. Ryan reached out, brushing his fingers over the stone. The figures looked familiar, as if he had seen them in his dreams. This is our history, Lyra said softly. But your people have forgotten. Kale believed you needed to remember. He believed you were the key to finishing what they began. Ryan shook his head, his voice bitter. I'm no hero. I couldn't even save him. Lyra placed her hand gently on his arm, her eyes soft. You did save him, she said. He told me so. He said that because of you, he found hope again. He died knowing you would not let the enemy win. Ryan felt the sting of her words, the memory of Kel's last stand burning inside him. He wanted to believe her, wanted to believe that Kel's sacrifice had meaning. But in the darkness of the ruins, doubt still whispered. What if this was all a lie? What if she was leading him into a trap? A sudden sound cut through the silence, a faint clicking echoing through the chamber. Ryan froze, raising his rifle, his eyes scanning the shadows. Lyra's body tensed, her blade glowing brighter as she prepared for a fight. From the far side of the chamber, a tall figure stepped into the moonlight, its armor black and sharp, its eyes burning red. Ryan recognized the enemy instantly. One of the warlord's hunters. The creature hissed, its claws scraping against the stone floor, the sound like nails on metal. Ryan aimed his rifle, his voice low and steady. Stay behind me. Lyra shook her head, stepping forward, her eyes blazing. No, we fight together, just like he did. Her words cut through his doubt, just for a moment, and Ryan felt the ghost of Kill standing between them. The hunter let out a roar and charged, its claws raised, the ground shaking with every step. Ryan fired, bullets sparking against its armor, but the creature did not stop. Lyra leaped forward with a cry, her blade slicing through the air. The chamber filled with the sound of battle once again, the silence of the fallen world broken. As steel clashed against alien metal, Ryan knew one thing for certain. The secrets of this place were dangerous. The enemy was hunting them, and Kel's sacrifice was only the beginning. The hunt begins. Hunters' roar echoed through the ancient chamber, shaking dust from the broken ceiling. Ryan fired again, bullets sparking against the enemy's dark armor. But the creature kept moving. Its claws glowed red, slicing through stone as if it were paper, leaving burning marks on the walls. Lyra spun beside him, her blade humming with the soft blue light, her movements smooth and sharp like Kel's. For a moment Ryan's heart skipped. She was fighting like her brother, fearless and precise. The hunter lunged, jaws wide, metal teeth snapping shut. Ryan dropped to one knee, pulling the trigger again and again, each shot echoing like thunder. The creature staggered, but still it came forward, a monster that refused to fall. Lyra leaped high, twisting in the air, her blade cutting across its armored shoulder, blue sparks raining down. The beast roared in pain, swiping at her with its massive claw, but she rolled across the floor and stood ready again. Ryan felt the heat of the alien's weapon as it struck the ground, the stone cracking like glass. He cursed under his breath. Slamming a new clip into his rifle, "Shoot for the joints," Lyra called out, her voice firm. "The armor is strong, but the joints are weak." Ryan nodded, aiming carefully this time, squeezing the trigger in short, sharp bursts. Bullets tore through the creature's leg joint, and it stumbled, howling in rage. Lyra rushed in again, her blade striking with blinding light. The weapon slid into the exposed joint, cutting deep, and the creature collapsed to one knee. Ryan charged forward, pressing the broken blade of kill into the creature's chest. The glowing edge sank into the metal, the sound like ice cracking on a frozen lake. With a final shriek, the hunter collapsed, its body falling into the dust, its red eyes fading to black. The chamber fell silent again, but not for long. From the shadows, more glowing red eyes appeared, dozens this time, maybe more. Ryan's heart sank. The enemy was closing in from every side. "They are hunting us," Lyra whispered, her voice low but steady. "The warlord will not stop until he finds the heart of unity." Ryan glanced at her, his mind racing. "Then we need to move. We can't fight them all here." They ran through the broken hallways, their footsteps echoing against the stone. The ruins twisted like a maze, each turn leading to another passage, another shadow. The glow of the blue carvings lit their way, strange symbols shining brighter as they passed. Ryan felt a strange pull, as if the ruins themselves wanted to guide him. He remembered Kel's words, "The path will open when the time is right, brother." Behind them the hunters roared, claws scraping, voices like metal grinding. Ryan's lungs burned as they sprinted through the maze. Lyra always a step ahead. She moved with purpose, as if she knew where she was going, as if the ruins whispered their secrets to her. Finally, they reached a massive gate, carved with the same symbols, glowing brighter than the rest. "This is the entrance," Lyra said, pressing her glowing hand against the stone. The gate shuddered, ancient mechanisms grinding. Light spilled through the cracks, and slowly the stone began to move. But the hunters were close now. Ryan could hear them charging through the halls, their roars shaking the walls. "Come on," he urged, raising his rifle to cover Lyra, firing down the corridor as the shadows grew closer. The first of the hunters leaped forward, claws raised, and Ryan shot it down. But two more followed. The gate opened just enough for them to slip through. Lyra grabbed Ryan's arm and pulled him inside, the stone closing behind them with a thunderous crash. The world went dark for a moment, the sound of the hunters cut off as if swallowed by the stone. Ryan leaned against the wall, his chest rising and falling, sweat running down his face. Lyra's glowing blade lit the darkness, casting long shadows on the walls. The chamber ahead was enormous, larger than anything Ryan had ever seen. Pillars stretched high into the darkness, carved with scenes of humans and aliens standing together. At the far end, a staircase led up to a platform, and above it hung a massive crystal, glowing with pure light. It pulsed like a heartbeat, each throb sending a wave of energy through the air. Ryan felt his skin prickle, as if the crystal was alive, watching them, waiting for them. Lyra's eyes filled with war, her voice a whisper, "The heart of unity." Ryan stared at it, his mind racing. This was what Kale had died to protect. This was the secret the enemy wanted. This was the reason Lyra had risked everything to find him. But before he could take a step closer, the ground shook again. A deep rumble echoed through the chamber, and cracks spread across the stone floor. Ryan lifted his rifle, eyes scanning the shadows above. From the darkness, more hunters dropped down, landing on the broken pillars with heavy thuds. Their glowing red eyes lit the chamber, dozens of them, circling like predators. Lyra raised her blade, her voice sharp. "They will not stop. We must fight, but we cannot let them reach the heart." Ryan tightened his grip on Kel's broken blade, his mind racing with fear and fury. He looked at Lyra, her blue eyes shining with the same fire Kale once had. For a moment he felt his partner's spirit between them, as if Kale himself was still fighting by his side. Ryan nodded, his voice hard. Then we hold the line, no matter what. The hunters roared as they charged, claws tearing into the stone, their shadows rushing across the glowing walls. The battle for the heart had begun, and Ryan knew there was no turning back now. The hidden temple's ancient gate sealed shut behind them with a heavy crash. The sound echoed through the massive chamber, and the hunter's furious howls faded into silence. Ryan stood still for a moment, his rifle raised, his ears ringing. The silence was almost worse than the battle. It pressed on him, like the weight of 1,000 ghosts. He turned slowly, and his eyes widened at what he saw. The chamber stretched for hundreds of meters, a cathedral carved out of stone and light. Pillars rose like giants, each carved with figures of humans and aliens standing side by side, their hands joined in unity. Glowing blue veins of energy ran through the walls, moving like rivers, pulsing in time with the giant crystal that floated above the far platform. The crystal was the size of a tank, suspended in the air with no chains, no supports, only a shimmering light holding it in place. It pulsed slowly, like the beat of a giant heart, and each pulse sent a soft wave of energy that brushed Ryan's skin like a cold wind. Ryan stared, his mouth dry, his voice barely a whisper. What is this place? Lyra stepped forward, her eyes fixed on the carvings as if she had seen them before. This is the temple of the first bond, she said softly, her voice trembling with both awe and sorrow. It was built by our ancestors, and yours, a place where they swore to fight together against the darkness. Ryan frowned, his eyes tracing the carvings of battles long past. He saw humans in ancient armor standing shoulder to shoulder with Lyra's people, fighting monstrous shapes. With glowing eyes, the enemy looked the same as the hunters they had just faced, a species that had haunted both their races for centuries. In one carving, a human warrior and a blue-skinned alien held the same crystal, raising it to the stars. Beneath it were carved words and alien symbols, glowing faintly. Lyra stepped closer, her fingers brushing the ancient stone, and she whispered the translation. It says, "Together we are unbroken. Together we are eternal." Her voice shook as she spoke the words, as if she could hear Kale speaking them too. Ryan felt her strange pull in his chest, the same strange energy that had drawn him through the ruins. It was as if the temple itself recognized him, as if it had been waiting for him to arrive. He remembered Kel's words again. "One day, brother, you will understand why we fight." They climbed the staircase slowly, the blue light of the crystal growing brighter with each step. The air around it shimmered like heat rising from metal, but instead of warmth, Ryan felt a cold current brushing against his skin. When they reached the top, he could see the crystal clearly. It was alive, its surface shifting with light. Like 1,000 stars trapped inside, Ryan felt his breath catch in his throat. "This is the heart of unity," Lyra said, her eyes glowing in the crystal's light. "It is not only a weapon, it is a memory, a promise, and a shield." She placed her hand on the edge of the platform, and the carvings on the walls began to glow brighter. Images lit up, showing battles, victories, and finally a vision of Earth, shining blue and green in the stars. Ryan reached out his hand, but stopped just short of touching the crystal. "What happens if the enemy gets this?" he asked, his voice low. Lyra's face darkened, her voice heavy. "If they take the heart, they can twist it, they can use it to call the darkness back, they can turn it into a weapon of death instead of life." Ryan felt a cold fear grip his chest. "Then we destroy it," he said quickly. Lyra turned, sharply, her eyes flashing. "No, if you destroy it, the last bond between our people dies with it. Kale died to protect this. If you destroy it, his sacrifice means nothing." Ryan lowered his hand, his heart heavy with doubt. The crystal pulsed again, and for a moment Ryan heard something. A voice, faint and distant, like an echo from another world. It was Kel's voice, deep and strong, calling his name. Ryan froze, his eyes wide. He looked at Lyra. "Did you hear that?" he asked. Lyra nodded slowly, her eyes full of tears. "Yes, I heard him too." The heart carries the voices of those who gave their lives for the bond. Kale is here, with us. Ryan stepped back, his mind spinning. He wanted to believe it. He wanted to believe Cal's spirit was still alive. But before he could ask more, the ground shook again. Harder this time. A deep rumble echoed from below, dust falling from the ceiling, the crystal flashing brighter as if warning them. Ryan turned, his rifle ready. They found another way in, he said sharply. From the far side of the chamber, stone walls cracked open. Black claws tore through, and the enemy poured in, their red eyes glowing like fire in the dark. The hunters hissed and roared, their armored bodies moving with terrible speed. Lyra raised her blade, her voice sharp and steady. They will not stop. The warlord wants the heart, and he will send everything to take it. Ryan clenched his jaw, gripping both his rifle and Cal's broken blade. The first wave of hunters charged, their claws scraping against the stone floor. Sparks flying, Ryan fired into their ranks, bullets cutting down the first two. But more kept coming. Lyra leaped into the fray, her blade flashing blue, each strike slicing through armor, each movement graceful but deadly. Ryan moved to her side, covering her with gunfire, the sound of bullets and steel echoing through the chamber. The enemy screamed, their red eyes glowing brighter as they closed in. Ryan felt the energy of the crystal surge, each pulse stronger, shaking the walls. The carvings lit up, the figures of humans and aliens glowing as if alive. Lyra's voice rose above the chaos. The heart is calling to us. It knows who we are. It knows we are bonded. Ryan gritted his teeth, remembering Cal's laughter, his promise, his final sacrifice. He fired until the rifle clicked empty, then raised the broken blade. Standing shoulder to shoulder with Lyra, the hunters surrounded them, claws gleaming, eyes burning. Ryan glanced at Lyra, her silver hair glowing in the crystal's light, her blue eyes fierce. For the first time since Cal's death, Ryan felt a spark of hope. Perhaps Cal was gone, but his spirit lived in this place, lived in Lyra, lived in their bond, and now, in the heart of the ancient temple, with the enemy closing in, Ryan knew their true fight was only beginning. The betrayal hunters closed in, their red eyes burning like fire in the shadows. Ryan and Lyra stood back to back on the platform, the glowing heart of unity pulsing above them. Each heartbeat of the crystal sent a wave of cold air across the chamber, making the alien carvings on the walls flicker with ghostly light. Ryan's rifle was empty, but he still held it tight, his other hand gripping Cal's broken blade. Lyra's blue blade hummed with energy, the light casting sharp lines across her face. The first hunter leaped, claws slicing through the air. Ryan ducked low, swinging Cal's blade upward, sparks flying as it cut into the creature's chest. It roared and crashed to the floor. Twisting in pain, another beast rushed in, and Lyra met it head on, her blade flashing like lightning. The creature's head rolled across the stone, glowing eyes fading into darkness. For a moment, it seemed like they could hold their ground. Ryan and Lyra fought as one, their movements sharp and perfect, like they had trained together for years. It was as if Cal's spirit guided them both, binding them in battle. But then the ground shook again, harder than before, and a new sound filled the chamber. Heavy footsteps, slow and powerful, echoing like thunder. The hunters froze, stepping back, their red eyes flickering. From the cracked wall, a figure emerged, taller and darker than all the rest. His armor was black and sharp, covered in glowing red lines that pulsed like fire. His face was hidden behind a mask of metal and bone, but his voice was deep and cruel. "So, the last of the Valen line stands before me," the warlord said, his words cutting through the air like a blade. Ryan raised his rifle again, but his hands trembled. The warlord's presence was crushing, like standing before a storm made of fire and steel. Lyra's jaw tightened, her voice steady but low. "You will not take the heart." The warlord left, the sound echoing through the chamber, cold and merciless. "Your brother thought the same, little one, and now he is nothing but dust," he said, his red eyes glowing brighter. Ryan felt rage burn inside him. Kel's name on the lips of this monster was like poison. You killed him, Ryan growled, his finger tightening on the trigger. The warlord tilted his head, his voice mocking. Killed? No, not exactly. Your brave Kale gave his life willingly. But not for you, human. He gave it for her. Ryan's eyes narrowed, confusion cutting through his anger. What are you talking about? He demanded, his voice rough. The warlord stepped forward, his massive claws scraping against the stone. She was mine, he said, pointing at Lyra with a sharp claw. She was promised to me. But Kel stole her away. He broke our pact, so I took his life in return. Ryan turned to Lyra, his heart racing, his voice cold. Is this true? Lyra's eyes were full of pain. She lowered her gaze, her voice trembling. It is true, Ryan. I was promised to him, but I never agreed. Kill saved me. He broke the pact to protect me. Ryan felt his chest tighten, torn between anger and understanding. The warlord's laugh echoed again, cruel and sharp. And now, she brings me to the heart. Just as I commanded, the bond between you was only a chain I placed around her neck. Ryan froze, his mind spinning. Was this all a trap? Had Lyra led him here for the enemy? He looked at her, his voice like ice. Is that why you came to me? To lead me here? To deliver me to him? Lyra's eyes filled with tears, but her voice was firm. No, I came because Kale asked me. Because he trusted you. Because I had to. Ryan's hand shook, the broken blade heavy in his grip. He remembered Kel's laughter, the nights they spent under alien stars, the promise they made to survive together. But he also remembered the trail of blood, the broken blade, the emblem Lyra had given him. Had Kale really died for her? Had everything Ryan believed been a lie? The warlord stepped closer, his voice deep and commanding. Give me the heart, human, and I will spare your life. Refuse, and I will tear her apart before your eyes. Lyra stepped forward, her blade glowing, bright. You will never touch him, and you will never have the heart, she said, her voice filled with steel. The warlord roared, swinging his massive claw, the air shaking with the force. Lyra blocked the strike, her blade screaming as it clashed with the burning claw, sparks exploding like fire. Ryan raised Kel's broken blade and charged, his heart pounding with fury and grief. The battle was chaos. The warlord's strength was like a storm, every strike shaking the platform. Ryan fired his rifle point blank, but the bullets bounced off the black armor like rain. The warlord left, his voice echoing, you are nothing without him. You are weak. Ryan gritted his teeth, swinging Kel's blade with all his strength, the cracked weapon glowing brighter with each strike. It was as if Kel's spirit flowed through it, giving Ryan power he did not know he had. Lyra fought beside him, her movements fast and fierce, each strike a flash of blue light. The warlord roared, slamming his claw into the stone, shaking the entire temple. Cracks spread across the platform, and pieces of rock fell into the glowing abyss below. Ryan stumbled, barely keeping his balance, but he refused to back down. He looked at Lyra, her eyes blazing with fire, and he realized the truth. She had not betrayed him. She had chosen him. Just as Kale once did, the warlord's words were poison, meant to break their trust. But Ryan could feel the bond between them. Kel's sacrifice had not been for nothing. It had brought them together. Ryan lifted the broken blade high, shouting with all his strength, for Kale, for Earth, for us. The blade glowed brighter than ever, the cracks burning with pure light. The warlord roared in rage and swung his claw again. Ryan and Lyra moved together, side by side, ready to face the storm. The hunters screeched from below, climbing the walls, their red eyes shining in the dark. The heart of Unity pulsed faster, as if sensing the danger, as if waiting for something to happen. And in that moment, Ryan knew. The true battle had just begun. The legacy of Brothers Warlord's clock came down like a falling mountain. Ryan and Lyra moved as one, their bodies reacting faster than thought. Her glowing blue blade met the burning claw with a scream of metal. while Ryan swung Kel's broken weapon into the warlord's side. The crack in the blade lit with blinding light, and for a moment the warlord roared in pain, his armor glowing red where the blade had struck. The shockwave knocked Ryan to the ground, but he forced himself back to his feet. Refusing to fall, the hunters climbed the walls of the temple, their red eyes glowing, their claws scraping against stone. Ryan fired his last bullets into their ranks, knocking several into the abyss. But still more came. Lyra fought fiercely, her blade a blur of blue light, each strike filled with fury and sorrow. But the warlord was stronger, his massive blows shaking the platform, his laughter echoing like thunder. "You cannot win," he roared. "Your brother is dead, and you are nothing without him." Ryan's chest burned with rage. He shouted back, his voice raw, "You're wrong. Kale lives. He lives in me. He lives in her. He lives in the bond you will never break." The heart of unity pulsed again, brighter than ever, the chamber glowing with blinding light. The carvings on the walls lit up, and the figures of humans and aliens seemed to move, their joined hands shining with power. The entire temple trembled, as if awakening after centuries of silence. The warlord staggered, his red eyes narrowing. He swung his claw again. But this time the light from the crystal struck him, burning through his armor like fire through paper. He roared in fury, trying to shield himself. But the heart of unity pulsed once more. A beam of pure light burst from the crystal, striking the platform, surrounding Ryan and Lyra. The light was not painful. It was warm, steady, like a hand resting on their shoulders. Ryan felt Kel's presence, strong and unbroken. He heard his friend's voice in his mind, deep and steady. "Fight, brother, not for me, but for the bond, for what we promised," Lyra gasped, her eyes wide, tears shining in the glowing light. "I hear him too," she whispered, her voice breaking. The light from the heart flowed into them, surrounding their bodies, filling them with strength. Ryan looked down and saw Kel's broken blade glowing brighter, the crack sealing, the metal whole again. The weapon pulsed with the same rhythm as the heart, as if it had been reborn. Lyra's blade also blazed brighter, its glow stretching into a long arc of blue fire. Together they stood, the light of the heart pouring into them, filling them with a power that was not their own. The hunters shrieked, shielding their eyes, their claws trembling as the light burned their armor. The warlord roared, his voice filled with rage and fear. "This power belongs to me, not to you," Ryan charged, his restored blade blazing with light. Lyra moved beside him, their steps matching, their strikes falling as one. The warlord swung his massive claw, but Ryan's blade cut through it, the metal shattering like glass. Lyra struck next, her blade piercing his chest, the blue fire spreading through his armor. The warlord screamed, his red eyes flickering, his body breaking under the light. The heart pulsed one final time, sending out a wave of energy that shook the entire planet. The hunters shrieked, their bodies dissolving into ash, their red eyes vanishing into the dark. The warlord fell to his knees, his armor cracking, the light tearing him apart. He reached out with his last breath, his voice fading. "This is not the end. The darkness will rise again." Then he collapsed, his body crumbling into dust, leaving only silence behind. The temple was quiet once more, the only sound the soft hum of the heart. Ryan dropped to his knees, his chest heaving, the restored blade still glowing in his hand. Lyra stood beside him, her blade dimming as the light of the heart slowly faded back to its steady pulse. For a long moment they said nothing, the silence heavy but peaceful. Ryan looked up at the crystal, his voice soft. "Kale, we did it. We kept your promise." Lyra knelt beside him, placing her hand on his shoulder, her eyes filled with both sorrow and hope. "My brother believed in you. And now I see why," she whispered, her voice gentle. Ryan turned to her, his face hard, but his eyes soft. "I thought I lost him forever. But now I know he gave me something greater. He gave me you." Lyra's eyes widened, her lips trembling. Then she gave a small, sad smile. "He called you brother. And now I do the same, she said, her voice breaking but full of warmth. Ryan lowered the blade, staring at the carvings. On the wall, the humans and aliens stood side by side, just as he and Kale once did, just as he and Lyra stood now. He felt the bond between them, strong and unshakable. A promise that even death could not break. The heart of unity pulsed again, softer now, as if it was resting, as if it was waiting for the battles yet to come. Ryan knew the war was not over. The darkness was still out there, waiting. He rose to his feet, gripping the glowing blade, his voice firm. "We're not done, Lyra. The galaxy thinks humanity is weak. They think we cannot stand, but together we will show them what it means to fight with humans." Lyra stood beside him, her blade shining once more, her eyes blazing with the same fire that had once lived in Kale. She nodded slowly, her voice strong. "Together, brother, we will fight, and we will win." Ryan looked up at the crystal one last time, the glow reflecting in his eyes. He felt Kel's presence again, a whisper of strength, a reminder of their bond. The temple doors rumbled behind them, light spilling into the chamber once more. The night outside was still burning, the war not yet finished, the enemy still waiting. Ryan took a deep breath, stepping forward, Lyra at his side. The future was uncertain. The darkness was rising, but they would face it together, and as the light of the heart shone behind them, Ryan knew this was not the end, but the beginning of a greater war.